Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. It is draft week. I'm here with Moody and Isaiah. How we doing today, guys?
If my team hadn't been the only team to get swept out of the NBA playoffs 2 consecutive seasons in a row, I'd be doing terrible if the draft wasn't tomorrow. There we go. Let's go.
This is on a tilt moment, but I've been doing better, but I'm still confident. But yeah, draft day. The NBA cleared the schedule for a reason. This is the best time of the year. It's Christmas in April.
They stuffed 4 games on tonight just so they don't have to play them tomorrow. And they probably hate Trae Young.
Playoff game.
Yeah, I guess while we're doing housekeeping, big week for the Shepherd Rams. Shout out to my man Brenton Doyle for getting his first big league hit. And then who knows, we might have one or two guys in the draft going on Saturday.
Got to represent.
Yeah, we're doing it big this week. All right, boys. So, just going through the draft, we have our assigned teams. Let's get it cracking. I'm pulling it up right now. So I obviously have the first overall pick after my Carolina Panthers trade up for this number one pick. The closer we get, the more nervous I get on who they're actually going to take. I've been flip-flopping back and forth on the two quarterbacks that should be the only consideration for this pick. I'm going Bryce Young as the number one overall pick. I need the gamer. I need to put on – there's so many more moments of Bryce Young being that dude compared to C.J. Stroud. I don't know what it is, but the closer we get to this draft, I need Bryce Young in a Carolina uniform.
Which is just simply the correct decision. I agree 100,000%. You're here to take a quarterback, and you need to take the best one available. And I don't think it's really close between him and 18% on the S2 score, C.J. Stroud, or wannabe Cam Newton, Anthony Richardson. Bryce Young is the guy. That should be the pick. We can move on.
That quote from C.J. Stroud is Cardell Jones level. I didn't come here to play
Ohio State quarterback. Do you really want to get involved in the Ohio State quarterback business?
It would have been my pick of quarterback, and I just would pick at the process because I thought I have the quarterbacks a little bit all closer. So Eric said it earlier. They probably didn't have to trade all the way up to one. I'm going to ding him for giving up DJ Moore no matter what. But get the quarterback. I trust in Frank Reich, whoever he chooses. Eric Bryce Young, Heisman winner, Alabama. Done it 2 years or 3 years? Did he start 3 years there? It's only been 2 years.
2 years. Mac Jones.
Yep.
But the only way this gets debunked from having the best quarterback in the division by far is that if one of these three teams sucks so bad and they get Caleb Williams next year. That's the only thing that debunks us from ruling the division for the next 3 to 4 years.
All right, moving on.
All right, at number 2, I have the Houston Texans. I'll be handling all Texas-related NFL draft picks today. Eric stole what I thought would be the clear pick at number 2 for Houston, who I think Houston thought they were going to be able to take for months and months at a time until Vegas suddenly said Bryce Young's the first pick, and now they're not even talking about taking a quarterback. But if it's me, I still think a quarterback needs to be taken. You can't really be risking hoping that you fall into enough losses for a Caleb Williams or something like that. You got to go get your quarterback right away. C.J. Stroud's the best quarterback on the board, in my opinion. I think you go ahead and take him, hand in the card, get your franchise quarterback on the board, just get the process rolling.
Yeah, no more Davis Mills. If they don't take a quarterback, I mean, the rumors are they're going to use the other pick to take a quarterback. If they don't leave this draft for the quarterback, it'd be a failure. Because how much more tanking do we need to see the Houston Texans doing? Like, let Laramie Tunsil protect something that matters for once in his career. But yeah, C.J. Stroud, typical Ohio State quarterback. I think he's the best chance of all of them that we've seen.
Even higher than Justin Fields?
I think he's safer than Justin Fields. I think he's
not going to Chicago, so he's not going to a QB graveyard.
Well, yeah, I think these first two picks are the two organizations that really can't afford to draft a project like Anthony Richardson or anything like that. they have to take the more safe, like surefire, not surefire, but like more safe picks when it comes to the quarterback position.
That's only because you don't want to watch Andy Dalton next year.
I don't. Anything.
It's not fun watching Andy Dalton be your
He was
quarterback,
good.
Eric. It's
Andy
not.
Dalton was a top 10 graded quarterback last year. PFF, not me.
All right.
At 3, I have the disheartenment of having to go with Arizona, and I do believe they should, and I do believe they will trade out. And I think what helps the most is that the team drafting after them is an AFC South team. So to trade away the next potential quarterback away from the NFC, which I will applaud, I will swap with the Tennessee Titans, and I will draft my number 1 quarterback in this draft, Anthony Richardson. I think he fits the Arthur Smith's play action, deep ball system perfectly. I think he can sit behind Ryan Tannehill. Hopefully Tannehill stays healthy and we don't have to have a repeat of the Malik Willis situation. It just seems like he's probably sour. They put him in too early probably. So it sucks for Malik Willis. I thought he was actually a good prospect, but it sounds like they've fallen out of favor. And I just think Anthony Richardson is a better Malik Willis. He's the first round version of everything Malik Willis offers.
Hard to argue with that one, especially about Anthony Richardson compared to Malik Willis. If this goes down, Derrick Henry will be a Philadelphia Eagle by the end of the evening. So I don't love that as well, because that's clear. We're moving on into the tank type of move right there. But I think it's the right decision for Tennessee. They got to go find their quarterback. Ryan Tannehill's on the last year of his deal. He's not the guy. So they got to go find the guy. Mike Vrabel has more than enough pull to be able to survive another quarterback. So he's going to get to do that as well. They've signed all their core guys on defense. I like the move. Go all in, get your guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're in a position to draft Anthony Richardson with Tannehill having that 1 year so he can kind of get groomed more for the NFL. Yeah, I mean, the Colts are probably sick sitting at 4 with their division trading up right in front of them. But moving on to the Colts with the 4th overall pick, Moody, as the representative of the Baltimore Ravens, would you accept the trade from the Colts for the number 4 overall pick? Oh, like obviously there would be more, but for this mock draft purposes, would you accept that trade and take 4?
Absolutely. I'll take it.
All right, go ahead.
All right, I'm jumping up to 4 to be the Baltimore
so
Ravens.
We're trading Lamar Jackson like that? We're trading away Lamar Jackson?
Yeah. They're not going to pay him. It's clear they're not going to pay him. They colluded with the owners to not pay him. So they brought in Odell for Tyler Huntley to go be their quarterback. But I think at this point, you've traded Lamar Jackson. You've got 2 first round picks. Do you slide into tank and we could just go take a defensive player? We could go take one of those corners because they do need a quarterback too really, really badly. But I think if Lamar Jackson gets traded, they're just going to step in and just take a big, strong arm white quarterback, which is what the Baltimore Ravens organization prefers anyway. So they can go ahead and take Will Levis at number 4 overall, replace Lamar Jackson right away, and they can move on with their next quarterback. John Harbaugh gets to protect his job for a couple more years.
It's just funny because when I was doing this in a rehearsal before, without knowing what you guys would pick, somehow quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3, 4 just always seem to happen. And I just think
it has to happen.
The draft is so poor. There's no reason to not take the risk with the quarterback this year to settle for some good prospects. No, I got to have them Micah Parsons, Justin Jefferson, Joe Burrow type prospects. So I guess that's why we get 4 quarterbacks going. I think it's a 25 to 50% chance that actually happens tomorrow. That's going to be crazy.
Yeah, and as we move on to pick 5 with Seattle, if Seattle is sitting here tomorrow and they have their choice between Will Anderson and Jalen Carter, they will be tremendously happy. I think they will go edge. I think they will go Will Anderson in this spot. I think just off the field, if Will Anderson is still on the board at that point, you take the more sure thing off the field, I think, than Jalen Carter. So I think Will Anderson would be the pick there.
Yeah, I think that's an easy call. They're going to get their pick of the litter of defensive prospects, of the blue chip prospects in this draft. And Will Anderson is as high a floor with still plenty of ceiling guys you will have on the defensive side of the football. Jalen Carter's maturity issues, you don't really want to have that as a top 5 pick if you have the choice of everybody else. So yeah, love Will Anderson, A+ pick for them.
Yeah, Will Anderson. He's not my favorite edge player in the draft, but he is the safest player in the draft. The Alabama history of defensive edge rushers becoming great in the NFL has been great in the Saban era, but I think Will Anderson is a safe player. He might not be an all-pro player, but he'll make a couple Pro Bowls. He'll have a couple double-digit sack seasons. And, he might look back and be like happy. He might be the Lane Johnson of this bad draft where it's like, okay. We got at least we didn't
got something out of this.
All right.
So now are we moving on to
Detroit?
The NFC North favorites, Detroit Lions.
Whoa, we're crowning people favorites here?
I'm just saying what Vegas is saying.
All right, so we went with Anderson or Seattle. So I've got Detroit. I'd be sick because I think the best spot for the quarterback is here in Detroit. They have the best offensive coach of all the guys in this top 7. So I'm sure they would be disappointed to be stuck with Jared Goff. But I just think the chance to match up Jalen Carter with Aiden Hutchinson is hard to pass up on. I think Dan Campbell has the system in place to keep him out of trouble. It's going to be tough because I know how much they love Devon Witherspoon. I'm not as high on him as the best corner, so for me, it's easy to pass on him. But I'm going to go ahead and take Jalen Carter to team up with Aiden Hutchinson in Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, I think they need to definitely go defense. I'm surprised you didn't go secondary there. The Raiders at the next pick would be shouting for joy to have their pick at a secondary player. But Jalen Carter at that spot would make their front 7 pretty lethal.
It's the easy pick. It's the easy pick. You're taking the most talented player in the draft at a position of need on a defense that really, really badly needs not only an interior pocket presence in terms of pass rush, but to stop the run at all because they were abysmal at it for most of the year. Picked it up at the back end of the season when they made their run, and this will be just another piece of that puzzle that can put them over the top. And like Vegas is saying, arguably the division favorites would just be adding another fantastic piece to that team.
Yeah. So moving on to Las Vegas, I think they have to go secondary here. So they will take my cornerback 1, Christian Gonzalez. Yeah, they just need answers on that back end. I think they have a strong front 7, but that secondary last year was abysmal.
I'm so glad you said Christian Gonzalez because that's exactly who they would take. The fast, twitchy, athletic guy, not necessarily the most complete pro-ready prospect, but still more than talented enough. He fits the speed Raider profile. I absolutely think they would do this 100%, and they'd be pretty happy with it, although I do think they can help that offense a little bit more.
Yeah, the same thing I thought about Detroit is that the chance to add Peter Skoronsky was high on my priorities when I was for Detroit. I can see the same thing for Las Vegas, but I just think Christian Gonzalez is also my number 1 corner in the draft. I just think he's can't miss in my opinion. He reminds me of AJ Terrell. He's got it all, and you just hope that they use him correctly in that man-to-man Patrick Graham defense, New England style 3-4, attacking 3-4. So I'm pretty sure that's a solid pick.
I think it's a bigger need. The secondary is a bigger need for the Raiders than it is for the Lions.
Yeah, so moving on to Atlanta, which the rumors are swirling that they're taking Bijan Robinson no matter what. I think that is the craziest thing I've heard all draft process is that teams are still taking running backs in the top 10. I like Bijan as a player.
They have so many more needs.
I just don't
They're
think
100% taking Bijan. they're 100% taking Bijan. They don't want to throw the ball. They refuse. Arthur Smith says, no, we don't do that here. We run the ball.
So looking at
Kyle
this,
Pitts will never catch a pass again.
I think ideally the rumor is they want to trade down. I just don't see anybody in that area willing to trade up. So, and I'm not taking a running back. I'm going to take. They just got Jeff Okudah to add, and they got Jesse Bates. So I think their secondary is fine. I'm going to take my number one edge player in the draft, Tyree Wilson. I think putting him with Grady Jarrett to play in the interior all the way out to the exterior on edge. I think he's a do-it-all. What's the guy in San Francisco's name again?
Armstead.
I think he's going to have that type of role in the NFL where he's a base 4-3 end and then kicks in on pass rush situations next to Grady Jarrett. That's going to be a crazy interior pass rush. I just think it's a better – edge is just so much more valuable than running back. It was actually a pretty easy pick.
Yeah, that's a value pick, honestly. And I agree. Just we don't take running backs in the top 10. It hasn't worked for anybody, so don't do it. It's just the right thing to do. I'm not as high on Tyree Wilson as an edge prospect, but I would rather take an edge prospect than a running back. And then receiver, corner, none of those prospects are really that enticing to me at this spot for Atlanta. It's a tough spot to be in after all the quarterbacks and stuff go. But Tyree Wilson, you're taking the edge pick, the upside pick. I think that works.
All right, Chicago. I think it's pretty easy selections here. I got good options here.
I have Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's what I thought. You were making me think you had Chicago. Yeah, Chicago Bears. This is going to be offensive line. Pick one. I think Paris Johnson is my favorite offensive lineman here, so I will take him over Skoronski. But you could go either way and be pretty happy with it. But yeah, send some help for Justin Fields on the offensive line.
It's that simple. You can't go wrong with either, in my opinion. Skoronski is safer. Paris Johnson's got a higher upside, and he plays tackle, so you can't miss. Just don't take a running back.
Yeah, I agree. Paris Johnson's my offensive tackle, one in this draft. Length is crazy. Athleticism is crazy. As long as you do something for Justin Fields with this pick, I think it's a success. So,
all right, next up, Philly.
Yeah, Philly picking here at 10 with the New Orleans pick. I have them taking tight end Michael Mayer, getting a 12 formation, helping get it a better offense suited for Jalen Hurts. I think he can be a great addition with Dallas Goedert in that room, can be a great blocker. I think this is a match made in heaven.
As the divisional fan rival of the Eagles, I just applaud this pick. I applaud it 100%. Fantastic pick. Way to go. We love it. Yep. Keep sending the weapons to go help out Jalen Hurts. I'm all good with it. A+.
They didn't deserve the pick anyway, so I hope they draft a running back or a tight end. They didn't deserve it anyway, so I hope they blow it, thinking that it was just extra.
And he's clear tight end one in this draft. There's no debate.
I haven't heard that anywhere. Except for from
the Notre Dame fans. All right. We got Arizona next.
Arizona. I was hoping for Paris Johnson. The rumors are out there that they want him really bad. But as much as Witherspoon is interesting and they have a defensive coach, they got to rebuild that offensive line. I think I saw some stats about their offensive line drafts have been terrible because they've been picking linebackers over offensive tackles. See Isaiah Simmons, see Zay Collins, and that's all after taking Kyler Murray. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not all in on Kyler Murray until I see him again on the field being healthy, but Peter Skoronski seems new regime, safe prospect, can't miss. Probably, in my opinion, might be the best prospect in the draft after Bijan Robinson. So I'll take Peter Skoronski, the tackle transition into guard for Arizona.
Yes. as safe as you can get here. Just go ahead and take some. They need so many things. Starting to rebuild an offensive line that's been pretty terrible for a long time is as good of a first step as you can take.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with offensive line protecting an undersized quarterback or for your next quarterback offensive line. Peter Skoronski falling to 11. That's a very high value pick.
Yeah, all the quarterbacks go early, so all the value players get pushed down more and more. All right, at number 12, I got the Houston Texans, and this is the easiest layup pick of all time. I drafted CJ Stroud at number 2, so we're going to draft Jackson Smith-Njigba at number 12. The classic college reunion. And the last couple ones we've seen in the NFL have been huge success. I expect this to be no different. Look and play.
All 4 of them: Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts.
Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Waddle.
All of them. They've all worked. So you know which one did it? No. Let me not even go there. But yeah, this is what I'm hoping for. CJ Stroud getting picked to go to the same team as Jackson Smith and Njigba some way, somehow, even if it's like Detroit. So it probably have to be a team with 2 first-round picks. So hopefully Houston wises up and they let us see it again in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave saying that Jackson Smith-Njigba is the better wide receiver out of the 3 of them is insane to think about. I wish we saw him healthy this past year, but yeah, that's a really good pick for the Texans that revamps their offense right away.
Marvin Harrison Jr. and another stratosphere from all 3 of those guys.
Correct.
By far the best. The Jalen Carter of the receiving group.
So, you definitely took the next pick, which is Green Bay. I think if Jackson Smith-Njigba somehow falls past Houston, I think they run their card up to the podium.
Green Bay don't take receivers in the first
I know
round.
that's
just
what
to
I
be
was.
paid to Aaron Rodgers. That they would 100% do it this year.
Yeah, so I think they do go wide receiver because now they think they have a young guy they need to go. So I'm gonna pick my number 2 wide receiver off the board, Zay Flowers.
Man,
Oh,
receivers don't
wow.
fall.
Wow.
This is a little rich for me for Zay Flowers, but that's because we're conditioned to not like the 5'10" quick twitchy receiver. So we have to see. I think he would have been great with Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see how much he does for Jordan Love. But receivers don't fall. So I absolutely wouldn't be surprised if Green Bay decided to go weapon.
Yeah, I thought both receiver picks were a little high for me. I think these are like 20s guys, but it's not a good draft. So I'm not going to begrudge any team that picks the guy that they like. So they get the guys they want. So I think Zay Flowers he's in my second tier. Him and Jalen Hyatt would be that of guys that I really like that could be solid. I just don't know because of the lack of size for those 2. But I do believe he's the most explosive receiver in the draft behind Jalen Hyatt. So I think Green Bay, that's exactly what they need. Dobbs and Watson on the outside, Zay Flowers in the slot. They'll be set for the Jordan Love era.
All right, so I got New England and Mr. Bill Belichick, who was always a wild card with what picks he likes to make here. Michael Mayer was somebody who I definitely had my eye on for Bill Belichick. You know, he loves a tight end. Offensive lines off the board. 2 people I really got my eye on here are Brian Branch and Lucas Van Ness. Those are 2 guys that I think Bill Belichick would love to take. So, yeah, I'll take Brian Branch. Alabama, keep the Nick Saban pool going. They need help in that secondary as well, and they can stay versatile.
Took Brian Branch over Witherspoon?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think they want the more versatile guy.
I do believe in the Alabama connection. I could see New England use that as the reason they take Branch. I think I like the player. I don't like the value here for him, but I do like the player. And these guys are all going to be close. So it's going to be wacky tomorrow. So I do like the player. I would have gone Witherspoon fell, so I feel like that would have been. I think Bill would have liked a player like that, but I know they'll like an Alabama player like Branch.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Belichick's a wild card. He usually picks someone you don't expect. Yeah, He loves Alabama players, so that's a good pick.
Yeah, I've got the Jets here, and some guys fell. Some guys I didn't see falling, but I do believe I made this pick in every simulation I did. I think it's what they need. I took Darnell Wright from Tennessee. He's my second tackle in the draft, in my opinion, because I don't count Skronsky as a tackle. And I just think they have to have another tackle to go there. Becton does look like he's going to come back in shape and ready to go, but I just think they need another guy for the other side or just in case things don't work out with Becton.
Yeah, I mean, protecting Aaron Rodgers, you need to be able to do that now. So, I mean, I think that was there. I think that's also a trade down opportunity for them as well.
All right, next up, Washington.
All right, next we got Washington. I think they could go corner here. I think they could go edge because a lot of guys fell that they probably did not expect for them to fall. I'll go Witherspoon here. I think they can help in the secondary. Yeah, I think that's a high value for them. They did not expect him to be there.
Yeah, I think he's the guy that there are going to be a few guys that are odd men's out because they're so close. So I think Washington, a lot of people have him as the best corner. I think he plays a little bit bigger than he actually is, which is a scary thing to me. I think injuries would be a problem with him if he's as physical in the next level. But I do believe he's fun to watch. He's amazing to watch. So I think great pick.
Yeah, Washington getting to sit back and take a defensive player way later than expected. That's usually what they do, and it's why they can never fix that off. So we can add another defensive piece to the Washington team. Who we got? That's Pittsburgh. That's me. Pittsburgh. There's a blinking red light for me here on the board for Pittsburgh. He feels like a Pittsburgh player, and that's Nolan Smith from Georgia. They need another edge guy to go help out with TJ Watt over there. He can play all over the defense. He just fits that team so perfectly, in my opinion. And the athleticism upside is ridiculous for them. Pittsburgh's going to develop that because it's what they
over Joey Porter with the bloodline tie. It's crazy. But I do think Nolan Smith, I think Nolan Smith's the second best edge in the draft. So to get him at 17, this is a Hassan Reddick type player in that 3-4 system. Will coach him up? He could be a headache in a few years. Maybe a Bud Dupree type replacement. So I do understand. And on the other side of TJ Watt, that's crazy. That's one guy who's a freakish, strong power guy and one guy who's got freakish speed. So sounds like Pittsburgh. Love the pick there. So next is Detroit. And while some defensive players fell, and I just think, damn, they were so close to getting Witherspoon. I probably could have traded up in front of Washington to get him.
Still a good corner on the board.
It still is, but I don't think they could pass up the opportunity to draft Bijan Robinson here at 18 and put him behind that offensive line and give Jared Goff his Detroit Lions version of Todd Gurley so they can start building up for their Super Bowl run. So they have all the pieces together already. So I think it's okay to take a running back in the second half of the first round if you have everything and an extra first round pick. So the value is just too much here. Take what might be the best player in the draft, Bijan Robinson, the running back from Texas.
I'm so glad the running back came off for the Dallas Cowboys pick because he was going to have to be the pick, even though I despise first round running backs. But yeah, Detroit, DeAndre Swift. He lost a lot of steam last year. It's clearly he needs a tag team partner back there that can take the more physical runs, especially in the red zone on the goal line. So yeah, behind that offensive line, he's just gonna elevate that offense to another level that was already really, really good at the end of last year.
Yeah, I mean, first round pick for him. That helps their offense. They still don't have DeAndre Swift, right? He's not on the lines anymore.
No, they don't have Watt Williams anymore.
Jamal Williams.
Montgomery from Chicago.
That's right.
Who's a decent player, but Bijan's better than both today already. All right, moving to Tampa Bay.
We got Tampa Bay here. No more Tom Brady. I just want to thank God again for making sure that we retired that man, got him out of the picture. It's over. They could go a lot of different directions here. Obviously, they're not gonna. No quarterbacks are gonna be available here. Don't like any of the receivers here. Joey Porter Jr. Joey Porter Jr. still on the board here. They definitely could use some help in that secondary. That secondary was pretty torn up by the end of the year last year, and you're getting great value with him falling this far in the draft, and they just need help. So yeah, I'll take Joey Porter Jr. here.
You prefer deep secondary over pass rush? They can retool that pass rush a little bit. I do like Joey Porter as a player, and I do like the fit. I just thought Tampa Bay might be looking more for pass rush and Van Ness and Murphy.
You got Van Ness. I don't like Van Ness there, so I couldn't have taken Van Ness over Joey Porter.
Yeah, I mean, in the usual mocks I did, I usually had Joey Porter going to Washington because Witherspoon would be gone earlier. So at 19, that's a really good pick for what seems to be a rebuilding Bucs defense.
Don't let their fans hear that. They're still trying to sell them that they're in their championship window. On to Seattle.
All right, going to Seattle, I think with this pick, since they've already gone Will Anderson with the top 5 pick, I think they keep going with the front 7. I think they'll go Calijay Kancey out of Pittsburgh. I think he just adds physicality to their front 7 and helps solidify their defensive line.
This is my sleeper pick for the Giants. If he's there, I think the Giants run to the podium to take him. He has a chance. He's closer to Jalen Carter than people realize in potential. Great pick.
I'm sorry, what's the pick again?
Kancey.
Pittsburgh.
Calijay Kancey. Oh yeah. The Aaron Donald 2.0. Yeah, I do like him a lot. And Seattle definitely needs a interior defensive line presence. They already added you went with Will Anderson in the first pick, right?
Yeah.
So they already added to the edge spot as well. You're going to completely provide that defensive line. Lost Poona Ford in free agency this year. So yeah, love the spot here. Love the pick here for Calijay Kancey.
All right. So after the Kancey pick for Seattle, we've got LAC up at 21, coming off a tremendous choke job in the playoffs that many still can't believe they witnessed. And it's tough because in every simulation I've done, Zay Flowers always falls here. Excuse me. And he went a lot earlier than I expected. And I do think they need another weapon. And Bijan is gone. And even though Quentin Johnson is my number 1 receiver in the draft, I just don't think that's the type of receiver they need. So I'm going to reach a little here, and it hurts, but I'm going to take Jalen Hyatt out of Tennessee because I think they need more speed and dynamicism on that offense in LAC. Take advantage of Justin Herbert's big arm.
You're definitely forcing it, but I don't hate it but the problem is, my only issue with it is, Kellen Moore is the offensive coordinator over there. This ain't a fit for Kellen Moore, but it is a fit for Justin Herbert. And if you can give Justin Herbert a guy with speed like this, you hope that he can just ignore Kellen and get the ball down the field and make plays. He's definitely a ridiculous vertical threat. Love the player. I like the value of him here, just not with that team.
Hey, Kellen Moore ain't never coached up a quarterback of this caliber in his life. Maybe.
Quarterback who goes 27-point playoff leads.
Moving on.
Baltimore, number 22. Isaiah allowed Quentin Johnston to get by here, and I appreciate it because I will gladly lap him up into the Baltimore Ravens organization. We can keep him in the same colors. He don't even got to change jersey colors. I think this makes a lot of sense for them. They need receiver help in the worst way. He's an explosive athlete, type of vertical threat and a yards after the catch threat for Will Levis. You can pair him up in the first round with him. And now you have a new offense. Will Levis, Quentin Johnston.
Yeah, I like the pick. Hopefully he stays healthy. They've been throwing that training staff under the bus.
They have been doing that. They have been doing
Especially
that.
the receivers. Rashad Bateman been out for blood on Twitter.
I'm just looking through to see this board's a little bit more random. This is the most random occurrence I've ever seen, and I've done a few of these. So next is Minnesota. They need edge. They need defense. I
No,
think the
you want a
linebacker.
wide receiver to fall. That's what you want.
I wanted a receiver. I don't think any of these receivers are at the value anymore for what they need. They needed the Quentin Johnson. That's what I thought would for sure would be there, or the Jalen Hyatt. That's what I was targeting. So I guess I'll go defense now. And I just think it's hard to pass on Luke Van Ness right here. Prototypical 4-3 can do some 5 techniques. They've really been running some 3-4, but they might be going back to 4-3. They have Brian Florence running that intricate Bill Belichick Patriots defense. I'm sure Luke Van Ness can play a type of what's the guy in Miami who kicks inside but does some outside stuff? Agba, Emmanuel Agba. I think Lucas Van Ness can do a role like that, and I think that's where he fits in this defense for Minnesota.
Yeah, I think this is about where he would end up going, and he seems like a Minnesota type of football player. That Midwest, hard nosed, he can move around, play all over the defensive line. Makes a lot of sense for them. They need more defensive talent. The Zadarius Smith situation is still going on. Like,
And it's both of them, Zadarius
yeah,
and the guy from
Hunter,
LSU, Hunter. Yeah, they
Hunter.
both want to get paid more, and
So
they both
they
suck
got
last year.
so they got weird situations going on there. They got guys who need to be replaced. Wouldn't be shocked if a 5th quarterback snuck in here at this pick. But for now, yeah, it's Venice.
I thought about it. I thought about the quarterback.
Jacksonville's on the clock.
Jacksonville at number 24. There's a player I really like for the Cowboys here that I would not want to pick, but Jacksonville could also use him as well. So I got to see how selfish am I willing to be. They could definitely need to go defense. Their defense is pretty bad, but especially in the secondary. I do like what they have up front. So yeah, Deontay Banks, cornerback from Maryland, athletic freak. He got lots of ball, not as much ball production as you would like. But he's a physical cover corner. I like him a lot. One of the best corners in the draft, and Jacksonville gets another piece to help in that secondary. That is not very.
So it turns out I was supposed to trade up with Minnesota and take Hooker at 25. It's the player I wanted my team to pick at 25. That's all I gotta say about that. I might even draft a running back in the first round to bump some more guys down to make it happen. But yeah, a perfect man-to-man corner. I don't know if he fits the scheme, but he's a good player because they do a lot more. They do a lot of zone stuff there in Jacksonville. But Tyson Campbell came on strong. He's actually looks like he's gonna be a really good corner. So they get Deontay Banks, a smaller guy, to be his number 2. Kind of fits perfectly. This is where the Brian Branch going so much earlier kind of threw me off because then I didn't know where to place these DBs. But it's a great pick.
All right, the New York Football Giants on the clock.
Yeah, in the worst form I've ever seen this board ever look in any of these, and I've done so many, and they've never been this bad. So I guess I gotta go. I'm going to trade back with Buffalo and take Dalton Kincaid for the Buffalo Bills because I think they need to add a weapon. I don't think the offensive line, if the offensive line value was there, I would have taken with the Giants in the interior, but I don't think it's there. So I get Buffalo to jump the Cowboys, who might be eyeing Kincaid, to get back at the Cowboys for what they did to us for Devontae Smith a few years ago.
Yeah, Buffalo. Didn't they lose? Whatchamacallit?
They have Knox. They have Knox.
Knox is still there. Yeah, but another vertical threat, seam threat in the middle of the field, which is definitely what they need. We'll see what's going on with Stephon Diggs. That's a situation to be monitored because he's been acting real weird on social media. But Josh Allen continues to endorse him in public, so that'll probably be fine. Yeah, like the pick, like the player. The back injury concerns me a little bit just because no one ever used to have a bad back. So you got to see how you manage to get through that. But he's a perfect fit for that offense, an offense that very much fumbled away in the playoffs last year. They need another revamp. They clearly need a secondary pass catching option on that team. So yeah, I like the pick here for them, and definitely stakes the Cowboys at 26.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a good trade up for Buffalo. I'm sure the Bengals are sitting right behind them at their original pick, hoping Kincaid can fall to them as well. So good trade up for them. Good weapon for Josh Allen.
Ooh, this board is no bueno. No bueno. I'm looking around here. I've heard a lot of rumors about the Cowboys liking a Jahmyr Gibbs. But in my heart, I couldn't even dream about drafting a running back in the first round after you just let your last first round running back mistake.
All I've heard is that they love him too. I've heard that they, as much I'm hearing about Atlanta taking Bijan, I'm hearing Cowboys is taking this guy no matter what. But yeah.
I can't go linebacker here, although Drew Sanders is the player I like the most on the board right now. So I'm going to settle for my edge option, Will McDonald from Iowa State, Senior Bowl guy. Cowboys want to add to the pass rushing room. DeMarcus Lawrence is in the last year of his deal as well. He reminds me of Randy Gregory when he was coming out without the weed problems. Just very, very slight, slender build with great pass rush technique. Dan Quinn was at his pro day coaching him up. So I think they like this guy a lot. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and take the edge, the premium pick here, keep it moving.
Yeah, a guy who wasn't underrated and then became underrated and then rose all of a sudden. So I guess everything's just came on the watch that people value this guy as a first round pick, and I think he's got. I've heard the Randy Gregory comparisons. I think he has a good chance to be a good inside outside presence as a pass rusher. Moving on to the Giants, who are still sad that no matter what they did, they couldn't get their hands on Deontay Banks. I just don't love anything on this board. I really hope the first round doesn't look like this at the end. I just think they have to do it because it's the best value. I traded back. I'll take the center, John Michael Schmidt. He's been linked to the Giants heavily. All the receivers are gone. All the corners are gone. That I don't know how that happens in most scenarios, but that's usually what happens. I'm going to take the center.
Don't fall.
John Michael Smith. But we traded back, so we'll take the extra value. I did think about taking Darnell Washington because of value, but there's just not enough usage available for the Giants right now in that tight end room.
Yeah, there's moving on to Cincinnati. I would have loved Kincaid to fall to this spot. That would fill a huge need. I'm not liking the interior defensive board right now. So we're going to stretch for a need, and we're going to select Darnell Washington to be a 6th offensive lineman to help this offensive line, and hopefully his production in the receiving game will grow with Joe Burrow. So Darnell Washington to Cincinnati.
3 first-round tight ends. That's the kind of draft this is. But all the signs point to Cincinnati going out here and taking the tight end. Middle of the field threat, guy who could have absolutely help run blocking as well. Could see a running back at that pick 2. Wouldn't be surprised there because Mixon seems to be gone sooner rather than later. But yeah, I love Darnell Washington, and I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's my favorite tight end in the draft, and you didn't have to trade up for him or take him in the top 10 like the other 2 guys. So in this draft, he's by far the best value at the tight end too. So I mean, 6th offensive lineman for a team that needs extra help blocking. He could transform that offense into something that we've never seen. That's actually a lot scarier than I've heard the rumors, but I've never sat down and thought about it. But That'd actually be pretty scary with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd to add Darnell Washington to help with the rush game and intermediate passing game. It's a lot of guys getting mossed too between him, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. All right, next New Orleans.
You got New Orleans at number 30, 29,
Same
29.
thing.
Yeah,
the
because of
Dolphins
Miami. I think Miles Murphy Paul has come far enough here.
Yeah.
They need to replace some they need to replenish the defensive line room anyway. Cameron Jordan's old, Davenport's gone, so they definitely
Hendrickson walk out the door.
Yeah, and I don't like the guy they drafted last year, Peyton Turner. So I definitely think they still need to continue to add to that room. Miles Murphy, not my favorite prospect, but here at 29, premium position, he can play all over the defensive line. I think it's a solid value.
Yeah, I like the pitch. That was a mean fall for Miles Murphy. I think he's going to go higher in the draft. But that was the meanest fall we had in our mock draft today.
He's a guy that I've heard a lot of ranges from the whole process from the beginning to end. He could either be a top 10 guy or he could be a third of the first round. Type of guy.
What Jermaine Johnson was last year from Florida State.
Yeah. All right, next.
All right, so we got Philly up here. I would want to go interior defensive line, but there's not much that I like here. So I'm going to go, he's listed as a tackle, but I think he projects to be inside. I think DeJuan Jones outside for Ohio State can fit well into this. You don't know how long Kelsey's got. You got a lot of older offensive linemen. So I think getting some youth and getting him to learn, either if he fits that tackle, awesome, but I think he can also move inside.
So you're taking DeJuan Jones over Broderick Jones.
Yes.
I think they're
typical Philly pick.
I think they're relatively all those guys, that next tier are pretty close. Yeah, I think he's raw, but Philly has so many guys in the pipeline waiting to just get in the starting lineup that
you become all pros. So this is just another guy waiting to become an all pro down the line.
All right, with the last pick, Kansas City.
Yeah, this is while Broderick Jones is an interesting pick.
Are you going to make the same mistake again? Are you going to do it again, Isaiah? Are you going to do it to them again?
No, I don't like
passing.
I don't like the white kids that much. But what I will do, just for shits and giggles, is trade up with the Los Angeles Rams and select Hendon Hooker for the LA Rams to sit
They're
and
built
recover
different,
from his
dude.
ACL and then become their next franchise quarterback so Sean McVay doesn't have to sit there and stew while the team rots away. He is older, so you could plug and play him if Matthew Stafford somehow cannot get it through this season. Matthew Stafford, who's been beat up for years in Detroit, who really thinks he's holding up much longer to wait, especially behind that offensive line. You got this guy, put him on ice, and you steal what I believe is a better quarterback prospect than half of the guys that won the top four. So if you could get him healthy, you could get a steal here, and they need a quarterback. And don't think any other needs. You trade up to get the fifth-year option.
Super cop out from a board that looks terrible.
Yeah.
At this point in the draft, that's super. Oh, I don't have to pick anybody. I'm gonna just let the Rams go take a quarterback. Lamar Jackson, the plug and play type of hope right there, a stash. Yeah. There was nothing for really Kansas City to take there. They would have been just blowing smoke. You can trade back and you get value. The Rams get quarterback prospect who's damn near as old as the quarterback they have now. We'll see how it goes from there.
It also brought me into the last segue. We have a couple teams that we haven't talked about because they don't have first-round picks, and I wanted each of us to come up with a couple prospects that we would love to see fall to those teams if and when they finally pick again. And even if the Rams don't trade up, I believe Hendon Hooker or an offensive interior like Cyrus Jones is a guy that the Rams would be looking for with their first pick. And I think after that would be Denver and Miami, who Moody actually has. So what are
Yeah,
some players there?
I'll start with Miami. We've all been hearing the rumors. Jameer Gibbs, they apparently want him desperately to plug into that. Mike, what is their coach name? Why am I
Mike
blanking on the coach's
McDaniels.
McDaniels? Really boring, bland name. They really want to plug a running back in there, have a dynamic presence there. I also like Brian Reese as a fellow Clemson defensive tackle to pair with Christian Wilkins because they do need some more help up front in terms of getting athleticism and pass rush there as well. And for the Denver Broncos, uh, I would say I definitely like Drew Sanders there as a kind of linebacker pass rusher type to continue to help that front seven. Their linebacking core has been pretty mad for a couple of years now. You can definitely I can see him taking a tight end. 3 tight ends went off the board. I personally like a guy like Musgrave a lot. I think he's one of the higher upside pass catching tight ends in this draft. Yeah, 2 teams, low on picks, Miami and Denver.
Yeah. Eric, how do you feel about Cleveland? Are they picking before San Fran?
No, I don't know. They have their first pick in the 3rd round, so it's not like they have their pick. I think they'll go defense probably. Like I think in that round, like the linebackers, it's not a strong class this year, so I think like that is where they can fill a need. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've got San Fran as my other team that doesn't have any picks. I think for them, the ideal situation would be one of these secondary cornerbacks fall to them. Now, Keely Ringo's a guy that people are high on, some people are low on. Emmanuel Forbes, a guy some people are high on, some people are low on. DJ Turner, a guy I'm high on, some people are low on. Julius Brents, those are some guys you hope, and even or even a Clark Phillips because they need a slot guy. You hope that one of those corners fall to you. They don't pick it till pick 90. So I mean, it's a crapshoot there, but I'm sure they'll be looking for secondary help because they lost some guys in free agency.
Yeah. Should we have any like sleepers in this draft? I know I got one.
Sleeper.
Yeah.
So we're talking guys that will be taken in day 3, or are we talking because day 3? That's the only time you're a sleeper. And you got this is a mid. This draft is close in the middle. So the day 2, back in day 1 guys, all those guys are jumbled up. So those can count, but I think day 3 guys are sleeper. But
Okay.
Go ahead, Eric. You go first and set the precedent.
Charlie Jones, wide receiver out of Purdue. This dude can fly. I think he will be a technician in the slot. Obviously, it depends on what quarterback he is linked up with, but I think he could have a potential jump. His size is a little concern, but he can fly.
Mine will be a quarterback from UCLA, Mr. Dorian Thompson Robinson. He is one of my favorite quarterbacks in the draft. The dude's a super athlete. You check the highlight tape, he can make anything happen inside the pocket, outside the pocket. Does have a good arm, does show good touch and good accuracy, good ball placement. I think in the 4th round, as a high upside guy who could become a starting quarterback if he's coached up right, there isn't a better sleeper in my opinion than Dorian Thompson Robinson.
Yeah, Moody stole my sleeper right there with that one. I was literally looking right at him, like, yeah, that's it right there. That's what I'm gonna pick. But I guess I'll go with a receiver. Do I want to go with a receiver? Nah, fuck it. We're gonna go with some homerism. Zach Kuntz from Old Dominion University.
Yes, sir.
His RAS score is off the charts. One of one type RAS score player.
He might be the best athlete in the draft. Like, that's how ridiculous he is.
Anthony Richardson's pretty freaky too, but they're both up there. Those are probably the top 2 guys who have perfect RAS, S tier, and he's really raw. But if you could sit and develop him for a couple years, you might be sitting on Travis Kelce.
Yeah, and I guess I'll go with my homerism as well for a little bit. Tyson Bagent, I think I don't know if he gets drafted. I don't know. But this dude has probably a top 5, top 6 quarterback arm in this draft class. Now, the jump for him is going to be tough, but he has all the arm talent in the world. He has loads better arm talent than Max Duggan, Stenson Bennett. I think he can make all the throws that they can, if not more. Yeah, I think he can definitely be even a serviceable backup for him to make the jump. That's huge.
Okay. Well, it's finally here, the draft. No more rumors to worry about because we'll know who was lying and who was telling the truth. But I'll catch y'all later.
Enjoy Christmas.